Nora has changed my life as a keeper in ways that I can't even describe.
One of the coolest things that I think that happened with Nora was how it brought everybody together.
So as a keeper, one of our main goals here is getting our guests to connect with these animals. And I think with Nora, that has happened like never before.
It's really hard to articulate the effects that Nora's had on not just my life, but everyone around here.
We have to do what's best for her. We've always known that, that we want to do what's best for Nora.
She is so important to the population. She's so important to the species survival plan.
The experience of taking care of Nora is, I will never forget it. It has touched me in so many ways.
So some of my favorite memories of Nora are just from the beginning. 30 days was our initial, time frame. For me, I was not leaving that ICU room for one day until she opened her eyes, because that was just so significant of how what a fighter she was and how far we had come already. So day 36, day 37, she started opening her eyes. And I remember, because obviously I'm a crier, I remember she opened up her left eye first, and I said to myself, pull it together, because you don't want the first thing for this little baby polar bear to see is you crying, because she's just gonna think that all humans do that, And so yeah, so I remember that very vaguely.
Okay, so a couple favorite memories. I'll admit it was scary. I was scared to take care of this tiny little polar bear. We've never done that here. So each milestone was a success, so those were exciting. But one of the first things that was really fun for me was when we were trying to get her to go from taking formula from a bottle to taking it from a bowl. And after, it seems like hundreds of attempts and making a mess everywhere, the time she finally lapped it up on her own, I was so excited. I was like yelling and screaming, and I was trying to call people, and I wanted somebody to see it. So I whipped out my phone and tried to get video of it. So that was exciting. Very exciting when she started to eat and drink on her own.
So to choose one of my favorite memories would be very difficult. All of her firsts were very exciting for us. But the first time I gave her ice cubes was pretty cool to see. She had just started walking, was a tiny little thing, and she started digging through that tub of ice, pulled all the ice cubes out, and then got inside the tub and took a nap.
How can you pick? There are so many, but I'm terrible with dates. I'm absolutely terrible with dates, but 2 dates that I'll always remember is we pulled Nora into hen rearing on my birthday. And I remember having like elaborate plans in the evening and just having to call my husband going, everything's on hold, baby Nora needs our help. So that was one, but one that's always gonna stick with me is that I can say that I was one of the few people that was able to spend Nora's first Thanksgiving with her. So I did a 12-hour shift on Thanksgiving Day, and I remember sitting on the floor eating my Thanksgiving dinner in ICU, and Nora's like asleep in the Snyder after having her Thanksgiving dinner, and I just thought, what an amazing experience. For me, for her, it was just so cool. It was so cool. Who gets to do that? Spend Thanksgiving with a baby polar bear? Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome in a weird way?
I vividly remember the first time when she was up at the hospital when she was still a little itty bit, and she was running down the hallway behind Devon, and she finally had the polar bear swag. I mean, she was a little itty bit. She was maybe 15 pounds, I don't even know, maybe 20 pounds. And when she started to run, polar bears have a very distinct kind of sway of their hips. And when she ran and she did that, I was like, oh my God, she's a real polar bear. So that was really, I remember that kind of really sinking in again, that was kind of another, not milestone so much, but just that was a good, it was cool to see that she was a real polar bear. It wasn't just this tiny little baby who was rolling around and was adorable, but she was really kind of a bear. I don't know.
I think another great Nora moment for me was when she finally learned to dive in the pool. It was something we had watched her. Polar bears inherently know how to swim. They don't know how to dive and don't have the strength to dive. So watching her over weeks and weeks, develop the skills to be able to dive in our pool and finally catch that elusive fish that she was so trying hard to get after. That was another great memory.
Probably my favorite memory, because I did work nights, I did most of the night shifts, was once she was out of the incubator, then when she was restless and everything at night, I would lay down with her and then she would fall asleep. And I never thought I would ever get an opportunity to be sleeping with a baby polar bear, and that was a really good memory, and I will always cherish it.
I think Nora will have an amazing legacy here. I think she has touched so many people, whether they're our zoo members or zoo guests that have come here in person to see her, or those that don't live locally and have watched her grow through our social media channels. I think that she has touched the lives of so many people. I think that we have seen, both with people that have come here to the zoo and talked to us, that she is actually not only a cute, amazing little bear to watch, and everyone loves to watch her, but she's also started affecting change. We hear it from school kids, we hear it from our guests. You know, people are planting trees for Nora. People are, you know, little kids, oh, turn the lights off for Nora. You know, so we hear those sorts of stories, and that's really heartwarming to know that she's not only been an amazing animal to watch grow, but that she actually has affected people.
Well, I think the most important change is that she helped me learn that we can do anything that we put our minds to it. It was an incredible experience. I've been here for 26 years at the Columbus Zoo, and I've done and seen many things, worked in several departments, and the experience of taking care of Nora is, I will never forget it. It has touched me in so many ways.
Nora has changed my life as a keeper in ways that I can't even describe. I've always been passionate about this job, but I didn't know I could kind of connect on the level that I have with her. It is indescribable to have this little bear look to you for comfort. So, you know, when she's experiencing something new or exploring something, and to have her look back at you and kind of say, is it, like, are we okay? Is this okay? You know, and for you just to, one, look at you and she knows, she's like, okay, we're good, I'm comfortable, and that, to know that I have that impact on her, and she's had an even greater impact on me, you know? So it's just been, again, it's indescribable how much she has changed my life and the relationship that I've developed with her. So it's something I never thought I would have. I never thought I would have a polar bear that I essentially call my child. But it's absolutely amazing, you know, and it's, I don't know, it's just, it's unbelievable. I don't even know.
She was so special from a personal point of view, but also from a species point of view. I think we did the very best that we could do, because we were dedicated, the zoo's dedicated, any professional that's in this institution or in this field is dedicated and wants to do the best for their animals. But she is so important to the population. She's so important to the species survival plan. So we didn't just try and do our hardest for her as an individual, as a baby, because she is warm and fuzzy and she's a little baby, but because she has a bigger goal, because there is something that we're striving for her to accomplish in her lifetime with us.
Nora definitely has a legacy here at the Columbus Zoo. Not only is she the first hand-raised cub that we've ever had, but the impact that she's had on our visitors. I can't tell you how many people have been through this line. It's thousands of people, which is so exciting, and return visitors, and just can't get enough of her. You truly can't. And again, she's really shortened that gap between cute animals and reality of what's happening in the world, and having people want to make a difference. You know, I think when you see Nora and you start to understand what's going on with our ice and with global warming and all of those issues, it really touches your heart. You know, we've said, touch the heart to teach the mind, and she's a true example of that.
So there were a couple of factors that led to the decision of Nora having to leave here at the Columbus Zoo. Of course, we don't want her to leave. We'd love her to stay. But it's really in the best interest of Nora. It's in the best interest of our bears that live here. And it's also really good for the bear that she's going to be a companion for out in Oregon. All the polar bears in the United States are managed through the Association of Zoos and Aquarium Species Survival Program. It's basically a program that looks at all of the bears in zoos across America. We want to put them in the best social situations, in the best breeding situations. So Nora's move is part of not just our plan here at the zoo, but a larger plan looking at the way we can improve conditions for all bears in all zoos throughout the country.
One of the toughest aspects of this job is saying goodbye to one of the animals that are in your care. And hand-rearing an animal makes it even more difficult because you have such a close bond with that animal. We have to do what's best for her. We've always known that, that we want to do what's best for Nora. And because there's a chance of maybe more polar bear cubs this fall, that doesn't, that's not fair to her to keep her here and not have adequate space. So, and we want her to be with another bear, and so this move is good for her, and we know that Oregon will take good care of her.
Well, since starting in Polar Frontier, I've had a lot of focus on the polar bears and just providing them with the best care possible and really trying to set them up for success with reproducing. So to see all the hard work that all of our keepers put in to result in this almost 1-year-old cub is just really gratifying. In addition to that, just having the experience, learning how to hand rear, learning more about polar bears through this experience, and really, as a keeper, just learning about teamwork and how everyone in this zoo put everything they had into this bear, and just seeing what that resulted in has been a great experience.
So polar bear births in human care are very, very rare. And on top of that, polar bear births in human care that have to be hand raised are even more rare. So the information we've gathered from hand-raising Nora is going to be absolutely integral to how polar bears are raised in the future. We have found out a huge amount of information about what normal vitamin levels are, what normal mineral levels are, and what are the normal and abnormal health parameters that we should be looking at as we go through the hand-rearing process to dictate whether this cub is normal, healthy, abnormal. So she has provided us with so much information that is just going to be so incredibly helpful in the future.
So as a keeper, one of our main goals here is getting our guests to connect with these animals. And I think with Nora, that has happened like never before. So that's really exciting for us because the more people connect with her, the more they want to know about her counterparts in the wild and do something to help them.
I think she's just really getting people inspired. I think she's putting a kind of a smaller face to polar bears, and I think that's what people get really excited about. So we get letters all the time from kids, from school kids and families and everyone alike about what they're doing to make changes in their own lives to help with climate change because of Nora. She's inspired them to make changes. She's inspired them to learn more about what is impacting polar bears in the wild, and that's what we want to do. We want people to connect with our animals here and then want to do something bigger to help their cousins in the wild.
She's touched so many people here in Central Ohio and even, throughout the country and the world. The only thing I can hope for is that she will cause people to step back and take a look at maybe some steps that they can make to be proactive to, help polar bears in the future and help save the sea ice for the polar bears.
So for the future of the Columbus Zoo, polar bears, cubs in our future are always a potential. And while Nora is truly one of a kind, the information and the knowledge that we gain from her is truly invaluable. So, we never hope to have to hand raise again because, we do have confidence in our females that that they can, raise their own. But if we have to, we're ready, and it's because of Nora. It really is.